An international conflict that you should know about is growing. A shaky ceasefire is in place tonight between Armenia and Azerbaijan. For nearly 2 weeks, they've been mired in fighting that has left hundreds of people dead and thousands displaced. This is all taking place in a disputed region called Nagorno Karabakh. You may have heard of it before. Fighting in that region's been going on for decades. Now, internationally, it's recognized as part of Azerbaijan. You can see where it's located on the map. But since the early 90s, ethnic Armenians have run it. A number of big players are involved, most notably Turkey and Russia. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is calling on them to stay out of it and urging the fighters to honor the ceasefire. Joining us now is Hagar Chemali, host of Oh My World and former spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the UN. Hagar, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Joshua.
What is so important about Nagorno Karabakh? Why are they fighting over this piece of land?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for covering this issue. It's really an important one. This isn't about two sides fighting over a piece of land. At the end of the day, this is about a group of ethnic people, a community that is worried about the wiping out of their race, right? We've got two bullies that have teamed up that have a history of pursuing aggression against Armenians, and that's what is the fundamental core of this. Now, it's important because Armenia and the Republic of Artsakh, which is what the Armenians of this area have declared it, are the only democratic nodules there in that part of the corner of the world. This is an area of the world surrounded by Turkey, Iran, Russia. These are areas, obviously, where there are issues with the United States, and it matters that the United States maintain a partnership and relationship with this country. It's also ultimately about Turkey. Turkey has been fueling the conflict. They have sent Syrian mercenaries there. They have teamed up with Azerbaijan. And the problem with that is that it brings back memories of the 1915 genocide perpetrated by the Turkish Ottoman regime. And that is what the Armenians are most worried about. This is at the core of it.
Yeah, if you've ever been to San Francisco and seen that big cross at the top of Mount Davidson in San Francisco, that is a monument to the Armenian genocide of 1915. That's the significance of that being there. So Armenia, we're talking about this region where, if you think of it like a clock, if Armenia is the center of the clock, you've got Russia at 12 o'clock, Azerbaijan is at 3 o'clock, Iran is at 6, and Turkey is at 9 o'clock, if you're looking at it like a clock. So there are all of these really major international presences around it. But as an American right now, I got enough to worry about with COVID-19 and jobs and President Trump not wearing a mask. Where should this sit in the hierarchy of all the things Americans have to worry about right now?
That's fair, but listen, I'm gonna make a couple points about that. So first, the United States provides military support, security assistance, training. They sell arms to Azerbaijan. So it's not something that the United States wants Azerbaijan using these weapons against Armenians. Also, Turkey, which is involved in this, is a NATO ally. So the last thing we want is Turkey involved in aggressing a population like the Armenians. You know, and I want to get to something that Secretary Pompeo said, because Turkey is a really important point here, and it's why the United States in particular should care, is because Secretary Pompeo, when he was asked about this issue, he called this area a, quote, piece of real estate, and said that it shouldn't be internationalized and that there shouldn't be outsiders, which you already alluded to at the beginning of the segment. And listen, he may have been alluding to Turkey and Russia, as you said, but what Turkey hears when Secretary Pompeo says that is, oh, the United States is not going to get involved. They're not going to care, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And the last thing we need right now is Turkish President Erdogan hearing something like that when he's been on a rampage for the last few years pursuing a series of thuggish and lawless behavior, things like drilling for gas in Greek waters, things like massacring Kurds in the northern part of Syria, and now you've got this issue. And by the way, this hits the United States homeland as well. Let's not forget a few years ago, when there was a protest in front of the Turkish embassy in Washington, D.C., Turkish security officials attacked the protesters here in the U.S., and the reason they do that is because they feel they can get away with it. So there are a lot of reasons here for the United States to care about this, not least of which is, of course, that we don't want to see massacring and killing of an ethnic population, but also we are involved in it no matter how much this administration wants to believe it.
Also worth noting before we have to move on that Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is one of the people who announced that there was this ceasefire. Russia has a very strong interest in keeping the ceasefire in play. Vladimir Putin's got his hands in this, and I think anything that involves Vladimir Putin, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, Iran as a border state, that's definitely something that Americans need to at least pay a little bit of attention to. Hagar Chemali, we appreciate you making time for us. Thank you very much.
Thanks for